Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Time for the Kentucky Derby Prep recap for the first Saturday in May. Kentucky Derby Prep, the Arkansas Derby. This, the first division featuring the undefeated Bob Baffert trainee Charlatan. After the scratch of Shooter's Shoot, a very fast horse in his own right, it changed the complexion of the race, perhaps. We break from the gate, Mike. Charlatan is so fast, however, I'm not sure anybody can run with him early.
Yeah, I don't know if they can either. I think it was sort of imperative for him in here, Dan, to break well from the rail, which obviously you just saw there he did. And then he's just got such easy speed. You can see he has no trouble getting to the front in here. And really from this point on, Dan, they're just not going to be able to get near this horse. He's too good.
You're absolutely right. Talk about easy speed. He's going 22-4 in the first quarter of a 1.125 mile race. He's 2 lengths clear of everybody, and he just seems to be doing it without any sort of problem. Basin, the winner of the Hopeful last year, I like the ride Ricardo Santana Jr. gave him. He tried to get within closest attendance of Charlatan early, and as you see, he can't get that close. He's about 2 behind on the backstretch. Basin tried very hard in this race, maybe a 1.125 miles a little far for him.
Maybe it is. It's also worth, just at least mentioning. I mean, this is a really tough trip for a horse to get to chase a horse who's just better than you all the way around the track for 9 furlongs. It's a really hard thing to do. I'll give Basin some credit here. I thought he actually ran a good second in here. Charlatan's too much horse for him, Dan. You can see Basin right here. He's in a full-out drive on the second turn, and he just can't gain an inch of ground.
Charlatan's got everybody off the bridle. Stick the fork in the rest of the field right now. They're done. Ano Deor was on a chase. He's going nowhere. We're going to see the great Gouverneur Morris eventually get into third, but he couldn't pass an extremely game Basin for second. But look at Charlatan. He just keeps going. He's yet to be headed in his career. And as of right now, again, I'm not sure if there's anybody that can go with this horse early. You'd have to think that at some point somebody's going to try him in the early stages of this race, of his races, but as of right now, this horse is brilliance personified. Bob Baffert, Martin Garcia, and you look at this pedigree, I'm really not that concerned about the 1.25 miles. The Speightstown seemingly can do anything. Authenticity was a good graded stakes winner for Todd Pletcher at 9 furlongs in her day.
Yeah, true enough. He does have a really nice pedigree. Yeah, I really do think it's going to come down to at some point, what happens when somebody can run with him early, or what happens when, somebody is good enough to get, right up alongside of him as they come to the stretch, and see if this horse, is sort of up for that kind of a fight. Because you never know until they get into that situation. Obviously, Baffert's other, prominent 3-year-old to race on Saturday, Nadal, has shown that he's up for that kind of a race. Is Charlatan up for it? We don't know until it happens, Dan. But as of now, nobody's fast enough to get near this horse.
This race earned a 96 Beyer speed figure. Amazingly enough, the lowest Beyer of Charlatan's career. This race was the slightly slower division of the Arkansas Derby, 15/100ths of a second slower than Nadal's victory in the second division. Charlatan ran big. Basin ran well. Gouverneur Morris, let's start talking about him a little bit. He, probably had to run third on form, right? If he wasn't going to get to Basin, he was the second choice in this race, but he was hard ridden on the turn to keep up, and he just sort of stayed on a little bit. I've yet to see the improvement from start to start for this horse.
I kind of feel the same way about him. I think he's run 3 times now as a 3-year-old. I think he's run okay in all 3 of them. Just, not nearly good enough to become a graded stakes winner yet. I thought all in all in here, the trip was a pretty good one, Dan. He wasn't that far off the pace. I thought he tried really hard. Once he got clear in the stretch, especially, he was never going to threaten Charlatan, but he tried really hard. He just couldn't get second. I thought he ran fine, but it didn't do anything to make me feel like, he's a horse that you really have to look out for going forward.
And I guess if there's a disappointment in the race, it's Ano Deor, who was the surprise runner-up in last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile, also the runner-up in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. This is a horse that right now, I think it's fair to say, has not moved forward as a 3-year-old.
So far, he hasn't. He did, it wasn't an easy trip for him in here, chasing 3 wide for most of the trip, but he also never looked like he had enough horse to be a contender in here, and he got very tired in the stretch.
They ran 1-2 around the track in the first division of the Arkansas Derby, the slightly slower division. Charlatan, 96 Beyer speed figure, hasn't been headed yet. He's brilliantly fast, and Baffert's holding all the aces right now in the 3-year-old division.